Welcome to Confessions with Nikki G. I'm your host, Nikki G. I would like to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to listen at today's topic. Good morning, Calvin.
Good morning, my sister Nikki.
This will be a Man Up episode. We have a very, very important topic today. We want to talk about these so-called mama's boys. Last night I was up looking at an episode of I Love My Mama or I Love My Mom or something. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, do people really live their lives like this? It's a show about these group of guys that may be married or about to get married, but they don't do anything unless they run it by their mom first. And so the women in the show are so frustrated because it's like they say they have a relationship with the man and his mom as well. So I had to look that up because I'm like, I just can't believe people actually live like that. So when I look it up, it was a definition and it read that the mother has an unhealthy attachment to her son. Mm-hmm. See, I always thought it was the other way around, that the man had an unhealthy attachment. But in reality, it's the other way around. Mm-hmm. So us mothers, we need to think about that. And then the wives need to think about that too. It's not just him. It's the mother with the unhealthy attachment.
Because the mother still, the term mother, nurturer, giver, mothers don't want to let go of their sons. And it's not just because most mothers have a relationship, a father is in the home, and they still had this, I call it unhealthy relationship, because now the son, to me, he can't think on his own. He have to ask his mother about everything. Now, the scripture reads that the one that you sent me, I read that and I meditated on that. It said when a woman and a man, when they get married, they cleave to each other. They leave the mother, they leave the father, they get married, they become as one, not two, not three, but they become as one.
Let's read that scripture so you guys can get a better understanding of what Calvin is talking about. You want to read it, Calvin?
Yeah, let me get it real quick.
I'll read it. It's Mark 10, 6 through 9. But at the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. So that goes back to what Calvin just said. When you're married, it's not 1, 2, 3, or 4, husband and wife. Now, this is going to sound a little retarded, but 1 plus 1
equals 2.
But in God's world, 1 plus 1 equals 1. You won.
You are one.
Period.
You are one. Mama, and this was real easy for me because my mama raised us in that when you married, my mother, she didn't have a say-so. And she made that perfectly clear to me. Because I went by my mother's house, and the first thing she asked me, have you spoken to your wife before you came over here? And my reaction was, I don't got to check with her about come see my mama. She said, yes, you do. That's your wife. I'm your mother. It's a difference. So I had to process that my mother didn't interfere with me and my wife's relationship. Because I didn't interfere with her and my father's relationship. Because my daddy wasn't going to hear that from nobody.
Your daddy didn't play them kind of games.
No, he didn't play them games. That's my wife, and I'm her husband. So mamas have to realize that you raise your son. Now, see, and I'm kind of skipping through things because we're going to touch on that too, about raising of a son. Okay, mothers have to realize you did your very best on raising this young man. He's a young man. He's not a man yet. He's a young man. If you taught him the right principles about a woman, that means you taught him about you. Now, when he get a lady in his life that he loves, the only thing mama can do is tutor him how to treat that woman. Now, once she have tutored him in that substance of teaching him, then she have to lean back and let him do what he have to do, the things that you have taught us. So have you done a real good job of teaching your son to respect women, teaching your son that that woman in his life comes first, even though we know God's come first, but now it's that woman now. Now, mama, we love our mamas, but mama got to take a back seat now. So some mothers don't want to let go of that tie. That's my son. You're not going to treat him this way. You're not going to do this to him. And you're not. Hold up, mama, pump the brakes.
I was kind of intertwined with what I think was a mama's boy. And since I had time to critically think about it, you can't per se blame the male all the way, because I didn't understand. So I was like, well, why is he doing that? I never really looked at his mother.
Mm-hmm.
So when God woke me up to say, wait a minute, step back, Nikki, be quiet and watch his mom, and then you'll understand why he's acting the way that he acts, I realized that his mother had an unhealthy attachment, and she had her own thing she was dealing with, but she was, putting it on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he will return and put it on me.
Mm-hmm.
So just like the ladies I described in that talk show or that show or whatever, that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where I just finally said, you know what, I can't do it anymore. It's too much.
Mm-hmm. It's unhealthy. It really is, because, how can I say it? If you're in a relationship, first let me explain something about leave. In the Word of God, it says when you leave. Nikki had read the scripture. If they leave, it means there's two types of relationship. The parent-child relationship is the temporary, because see, later on in life, that child gonna leave home, so it's a temporary. So you have this child's temporary in your care. Temporary. You're like having a temporary job. That job gonna last as long as you persisted to. But when they get tired, they're gonna say, well, your service no longer needed. Now, when you find a woman or a woman find a man, okay, mom and daddy, with all due respect, I love you, but now it's time for me to move on. I need to find my own. See? And that's why they get it twisted by leaving. They say, of what God has joined together, let no man separate. The husband-wife relationship is the permanent one. Your children was lent to you for you to nurture them, for you to teach them. And after you didn't talk to them, he said, train up a child in the way that it should go. Train up. Not keep that child. He said, train that child up, because when you are trained to do something, then they put you on your own. Okay, you got the job. Bam. Now you're a husband. Mm-hmm. Now you're a wife. Mm-hmm. So now you didn't train your son or your daughter. You didn't train them to that aspect of life. Now, you have to realize they are mimicking you. As a mother, as a father, they are mimicking you.
When you're speaking, it came to my mind that I need a lot of the young women that are raising young men to stop making that young boy the man of the house. He is not the man of the house. And if his father's not there, okay, that's fine, but he is not the man of the house. You're supposed to be teaching him how to be the man of his own house at some point, but he's not the man of your house. So that's why it's so important that we now learn what we should be teaching our young sons as single mothers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you may be fortunate enough to have a role with the husband and wife, or you may be a single mother. I want this episode to also speak to the single moms as well.
It's especially the single moms.
Because you're teaching them.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're supposed to be teaching them.
You're supposed to be training them. I mean, we quote that scripture, train up a child in the way to go. Train. Are you really, you're not the only one that is training your child.
It takes a village, yeah.
It takes a village. Even though I know this society now, our village is jacked up. I'm going to put it just like that. Mm-hmm. Because now, nobody want you to say anything to their child, even if they doing good or bad. Don't listen to what he says. You don't got to listen to him. He's not your father. He's not your mother. You come to me. Okay? So then, when little Ray Ray get in trouble, you got to remember what you done said. You don't want nobody saying anything to your child. But now Ray Ray in trouble, you need help. And the same people that you did not want to say anything is the only people that could help Ray Ray keep him from going to prison. But in the beginning, if you would allow them to say something, the village to say something, then Ray Ray would have knew that somebody else is watching me. Somebody else can say something to me if I'm wrong. Now they come back to the single parent. My father was in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. My mother was you might well say single parent because my daddy wasn't there. See, but we had Pawpaw that would come by and check on us. We had the uncle around the corner that would come by there and check on us. See that back in our time, them late 60s and 70s and 80s. See, that was our time.
Talking about Calvin, I'm not but 18. No, I'm playing.
Well, I'm 21. but anyway.
Yeah, but be careful. Now, what he's saying is so, but you still, as a single person, you have to be careful. I don't care if you're married or whatever. You have to be careful of whom you let groom your child. Mm-hmm. Because in reality, you don't want the wrong person, but you don't want to push the right people away either.
Exactly. You have to try the spirit by the spirit. And what I say that there, when you allow someone to groom your son or your daughter, number one, you must know them. You must know them. You don't let anybody just because they say he's this, but do you know that? That's how this person is. Like in my instance, I didn't trust no one around my children or with my children because I know how I discipline them. I know how I talk to them. And you have a lot of people, and you can really talk to them and tell them what type of person they are by what comes out their mouth. I wouldn't put up with that. Oh, I beat the brakes off of them. Now, right now, you don't want that person around your child at all because they're going to do damage to your child. And ladies and men, when your child run from an adult or another child, a red flag should go up. Because if that child was going around that person in the beginning and now they're running from that person, something is wrong. Something happened. Something happened. Don't force that child to go over Aunt Margaret's house or Uncle Junebug's house because something happened. Okay? So we damage our children by not listening to them. We tell a child do what? Stay in a child place. But sometimes a child place is to tell us what's going on because we as working parents are not there 24/7. So the young mothers and the young brothers that taking care of children or have the, I call it the co-parenting, listen to your children. Listen to them.
That's true. Listen. Okay, let's go back to the mama's boys. We done digress into a whole nother different podcast coming later. Now, If you're wondering if you're involved with the mama's boy, I have 4 signs that you might be involved with the mama's boy. The first one is his mother's wish is his command. Whenever mama call, I don't care. Y'all could be out to dinner. You could be in the bed. You could be anywhere. He's just going to get up and go because mama just called and she need me, so I'm gone. I guess you have to decipher between if she really needs him or she just wants him there. It's a difference. The next one is daily contact with mother. Now, that one I kind of struggle with because it's okay to call your mom and check on her to make sure she's okay. But I guess it's an excessive amount of talking daily. Mm-hmm. The next one is he chooses his mother over children and you as his wife. He chooses his mother.
That's unhealthy. That's unhealthy when a man chooses his mother over his wife.
Now let me give you a situation where that happened. This individual's mother was manipulative. So whenever he didn't give his mother what she wanted, even though it went against our household, she would, what I would like to say, punish him by not talking to him, give him the silent treatment. That's narcissistic. I think she was a narcissistic, but I can't prove it. She would give him the silent treatment, and that would bother him to the point that he would just break and just go ahead and give her whatever it is she wanted, even though it went against our household. So it's kind of more complicated than just maybe he decided to go to his mom's house versus going out to eat with you. It gets deeper than that. But if he chooses his mother over you and your kids, then it might be a mama's boy.
It's called control. Mothers love to control, especially sons.
Why I don't want to control my son. I just want my child to be happy and healthy.
Because it's a gray area, and I'm glad I'm not in church. Because if I was in church, they'll tell me that they'll lock the doors up.
Well, that's why we're at confession.
Yeah, that's why we're at confession.
It's an open mic.
Yes. Because number one, you can't control your husband. So I control the next thing to my husband. It's my son. So mothers, I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna throw everybody in that one basket. Some mothers have a control issue. Mm. And that's why fathers supposed to get involved and say, hey, hold up. I'm just saying, wait a minute. That's your son. I'm your husband. That's your son. If he want to go to the game, he can go to the game. You can't make him stay and do stuff because you want him around the house so you can watch him. No, he has a life. And that's where the fathers get involved. But like say, mama boys, everybody called me a mama boy. I wasn't a mama boy. I just loved my mother. And I didn't want nothing to happen to her. So I wasn't a mother's boy because my mama wouldn't let me be a mama's boy. If I take my mother $20, she would ask me, did you run this by your wife before you gave me this $20? Mm-hmm. I'm like, you my mama. She said, no, but that's your wife. See, she kept instilling in me that I'm mother. That's your wife. See? But a lot of mothers, single mothers, don't do that because they afraid, number one, that the woman that their son is dating is just like them. So now you have a competition.
Yeah, that's true.
It's competition now.
Now, I know this is waking up a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's some women out there experiencing this right now. So I'm hoping you taking this podcast to heart because what he's saying is so. I lived it. I know.
But you mama. That's my wife. So do we cross the line as mothers, as manipulating our sons? And then when the marriage don't work out, mama boy do what? He come back home. But then what do this do, though, to the mind of a young man? Now he's starting to have regrets. Mm-hmm. Because now you're not paying him no attention because you have a new man at the house. But you broke up his relationship with his wife and children. And we wonder why, and how can I say it? we get mad. I'm going to say we get mad. We get mad because we use the term that a woman cannot raise a man. That's because of the relationships. You're going to be either mama or you're going to be girlfriend. So what you going to be to your son? Oh, yeah, it's hard, but it's fair because we have to realize the manipulation because you don't like that woman, that's your son's choice. You making him out of a mama boy. You making him weak. He can't define or think on his own unless he gets your permission. So you are choosing who, how can I say it? You are choosing who he's supposed to be with. But it's not your choice who he's supposed to be with. It's whoever God put him with. Because when you read that scripture down further that Miss Nikki had read in Genesis 2 and 24, read down a little bit more. It says that God brought the woman to the man. He didn't take the man to the woman. He brought the woman to the man. So it's what God brings to you, what God brings to the table. That's what you have to allow and accept, not what you bring to the table. Because so look at this here. The one that you choose for your son, is she more like you? Y'all get along because she have manipulative ways like you? So you get along with her, that's my girl there, because your girl is manipulated? Because your girl do what you say do now? So where do we draw the line?
And when are the mothers going to take responsibility? That's another thing. Because I used to hear this individual say, he owed me. And I'm thinking to myself, what does he owe you? He's grown now. What does he owe you? I don't understand. What does he owe you? He can't even get his check good without paying you something, which is fine if it's feasible. But he has a household he got to take care of. So I feel like in that instance, she crippled him. She's crippled. I don't know if she's still doing it. We're not together anymore. But you crippled this man. He can't even be a full man because you're crippling him. Women, mothers, you're crippling that man.
He don't owe you nothing. God bless you with this child to raise this child. You should be glad God gave you a man to mold. See, and now God wants you to give up that man, but you can't give that man up. So what are you doing? He don't belongs to you. God wants you to groom him for who God put in his life. He don't owe you nothing. He owe you what? Room and board because you got pregnant and had him? And now he owe you for what, 18 years or what? But you fed him? You room and board? No, my children owe me nothing. They owe me nothing. Nothing but respect. That's all I ask them. Mm-hmm. When we talk, respect me. I'm still your father. I know you grown. I know you got your own family. But you reap what you sow. You disrespect me, they're going to disrespect you.
Ooh, and when you see it in them grandkids.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we digress to another subject. Okay, the last one is, now I read, his mother's wish is his command, daily contact with the mother, chooses his mother over you and your children. And the last one is, he may be out of her home, but he lives somewhere close by. He will not move too far away from his mother. So if you're experiencing all four of those things, you're probably dealing with a mama's boy. So this podcast is going to really benefit you to maybe get a better understanding, and you won't per se be attacking him, because it's really not all about him. It's a dysfunction between him and his mother.
And it have to be brought up in a delicate conversation. It have to be brought up to allow him to see it, because most men, they love their moms, regardless. Mm-hmm. You know, daughters and fathers, they kind of have a disconnect because the mother is saying one thing about the father, which is, it might be true, but it might not be true. But so now you have to have this conversation, like me and my daughter, prime example. when me and my ex-wife got divorced, I moved away. See, but I had to realize when I moved away, I hurted my daughter because I wasn't there for my daughter first time riding a bicycle. So I wasn't there because the misconception is you leave the woman, but not actually you divorce the woman, but you don't divorce the child. My daughter told me, she said, "Daddy, I need you. I don't want no money. You don't got to buy me nothing. I want your time." I broke down because we as men, and I'm just going to say it, we as men, okay, we think that we always have to buy our children something to pacify them. Well, I brought you this. That material thing do not replace the conversation, the knowledge that you can give your child. And I had to realize that. And so then I had to put plans in effect, what y'all doing, making plans with them, not the mama, making plans with them. But mama boys still get in the way sometimes. Living witness, mamas would say, well, he don't want to come over. No, he don't have a choice. If I'm paying child support, he have no choice. He's a boy. He don't have a choice. But mothers, which making their sons out of mama boys, give them a choice. You don't have to do that. Instead of telling them, yeah, you go, that's your father, you going. That's your grandfather, you going. You don't have an option.
And when I feel like when people do that, it's not even about the baby. They trying to hurt that individual.
Exactly.
It's not even about, you're not even thinking about the child.
No, he's not. Not until the child start asking questions. And the majority of the fathers, I'm not going to say all the brothers the same because we are not. Some brothers get thrown up on the bus. And some brothers need to be ran over by the bus. I'm just going to say because I lived it. I've seen it. I'm like, really? I have over 100 boys and girls that call me Pops. I spend more time with them than their own father did. Went to football game, went to basketball game, cheered them on. Mm-hmm. When they were doing speeches and stuff, I was there. And this when they were smaller. Now they grown and have children, and they say, oh, this is who my father always talks about. They call you Pop, old school. Yeah.
Well, since this podcast, you got some more people calling you Pops in old school.
because
it makes sense. But if, like I said before, if you're going to involve your child with someone, you want them to be a positive factor. You want them to be that individual that can show that young boy how to be a man. Don't use your child as a pawn to tick off the other parent, because at the end of the day, the child is the one that's going to suffer. The child is the one that's going to suffer.
And I don't get this thing about co-parenting. I shouldn't have to make an appointment with you to see my child because you got a new man. That's you and your new man. If I got to meet you at a different location, I need my son to be here at such and such time. You can drop him off. I'm right there. I don't have to see you. You don't got to see me. Because you're dealing with issues with your new man, which is a stepfather. He's a stepfather, but he's still a father. See, you can't play men against each other. My mom didn't do that. I had a stepdad, but I called him dad because he was there. See, he was in the house. He was there. Mm-hmm. See, and I had to learn and understand as a young man, life about women and men, what they go through. That need to be taught. Tell the truth about why dad left. Tell them the truth. If he left, he left. If you made him leave, then tell them, I made that choice for your dad to go. So why don't we tell our children that? Because we want to be the good guy and they be the bad guy. But then but it hurts them because later on when you find out that, hey, dad left because of that, and why didn't you tell me that, Mom? Well, I didn't think you was old enough, but you thought I was old enough to tell me that dad was a dog. So that's why I say it can backfire on you. As a single mom, not telling your child the truth about their father. Tell them the truth. If he wasn't no good, just say, no, your daddy just at that time he wasn't, productive enough to do this and do that. There, don't call him out his name. Don't belittle him. Don't do that.
I was just going to say, when Calvin says tell him the truth, he doesn't mean tell him all, because some people may literally think that you mean telling the whole truth. Sometimes you got to stop, think about it, and come back. And I'll use myself for an example. When I split from my youngest daughter's dad, and she asked me, Mama, well, why aren't, you with Daddy? I said, well, sometimes in life, two people, we just couldn't get along. It doesn't mean that we don't love you and we're not going to take care of you. It's just, we just couldn't get along. But you'll see your daddy, everything, nothing's going to change. It's just he's not going to be here living with us.
Exactly.
And I left it at that.
Exactly.
And I never told her anything until she got old enough to come and ask me. It's a difference. I didn't go every day. Ooh, he did this. Your daddy, I didn't do that. I waited till she came and asked me. And I felt like she could comprehend. Then I told her some things that she might not wanted to hear. But then I said, okay, now it's time, Nikki.
Exactly. Because now she's growing up and she see things that's going on. Like, now she know. Like my sons. When I told my sons about the relationships I had and everything, and, well, Dad, why happened to that? And now they grown and got children. And when we talk about it like that, I would have been gone too. See, they understand now. I said, now you see now, Daddy, I don't see how you put up with it that long. But they have to see that. They have to grow into it. See? And how can I say? Quit using the stepmom for excuse not to let your daughter or your son see their dad. Stop using that other woman for excuse. Because if he left, for whatever reason it is, between you and him, why he left, but don't drag her in it. She is a female that if something was to happen to you as a young lady, something was to happen to you, you need somebody positive that's going to raise your daughter. So quit bad-mouthing the other woman. Quit bad-mouthing the other man. Because that man going to have to raise your son to be a man. Now, just because you couldn't get along with him or her, and somebody else is, don't taunt that relationship. Let that young man, be raised up. Because my father never tainted my other father, and I say other father because I don't believe in step. Even though I know he was my stepfather, he wasn't my biological father, but he taught me about cars, taught me about fixing cars. He taught me about cutting grass. He taught me how to be a man. A man get up and go to work. No matter what kind of work it is, you get up, get your butt down that street. You're going to do something today. You're not going to sit around here. And that's the type of men that we need in the homes. The mothers need to understand that man you got in your home, God allowed that man to be in your home for a reason and a purpose. You can't raise little Johnny to cut grass. See, you can't raise little Johnny to change oil, change a tire. You might can show him, but he has to be taught every component. For example, I could not tell my daughters about having a cycle. I'm not a woman. I don't know when your cycle gonna come. I don't know you about the crap. I don't know nothing about that. I got 5 sisters. I watched them go through it. But I don't know nothing about it. So how can you tell Ray Ray about his body when his hormones start twitching? You don't know because you're not a man. You're not a boy. You cannot tell him about it. So you cannot raise. And what I mean by that, you can teach him to be respectful and everything, but you cannot raise him to be a man.
Now, see, let me bag up. Let me give you a scenario. My son came and asked me something, and I couldn't answer it because, like Calvin said, I'm not a man. Like I said before, hell, I couldn't even teach him how to pitch straight because I'm not a man. I don't know those things. So saying that to say, that made me rethink. I was so busy chasing the American dream with the husband and the kids, I didn't think about the male that I had in the home was supposed to be teaching my son some things.
Mm-hmm.
So it dawned on me that the person that I chose, not God, that I chose to be in the home, he wasn't even in a position to teach my son anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make a big girl decision. Even though I love this person,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't good. First of all, I figured out he wasn't the man that God brought into my life. But second of all, he wasn't good for my son.
Mm-hmm. If you got a son, you have to have
You have to
somebody
think about that.
Gonna take time and show him things. Show him how to fish. Show him how to swim.
Mm-hmm.
Show him how to tie his shoe up. Because I live this. I done watch women buy their sons Velcro tennis shoes because they don't want to teach him how to tie his shoe. No, he gonna learn how to tie some shoes, or he ain't gonna be wearing none. He ain't doing no slide-on slip-ons. He gonna tie his shoe up. If that man is good enough for you, he should be good enough for your son.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take the reins off mama, trying to raise a mama boy, and let that man that in that home with you teach him how to be a man. Quit telling him that's his father's responsibility when you don't even let him go see his father. So what? He gonna be 12 years old, not knowing about male hygiene, the parts of his body he's supposed to watch. You got to stop watching your son when he's 2 or 3 years old. So that's where the father comes in and said, no, son, you need to watch this. What? He going to be 16, you still going to be bathing him? Really? That's incest. So that's another topic. So ladies, please, if that man is good enough for you, he should be good enough for your son. You need help. It's okay. It said take a village to raise a child. It's going to take a village of men to raise your son. Because each man has something to give him. Mm-hmm. Each man. He's not going to learn just from one man. I learned from my daddy, yeah. But when I got in them streets, I learned from different men. Either we're right or wrong. I still learned. I made mistakes. They said, you see, huh? Yeah, I ain't doing that no more. I told you. Mm-hmm. But I had to learn. I moved away from home. When I say from home, be honest with you, I learned to be a man when I was 30 years old. Because I had to move to a whole different state with our mama, with our daddy, with our sister, with our brother. I had to man up. I didn't have nobody tell me about this and about that. So lucky I learned at a young age, and I can recognize and peep things and see things. I'm like, oh, no. But mama gave me that foundation, baby. Because, to be honest with you, my mom didn't like nobody, no female. Because she thought, well, no female good enough for her children, for her sons. But then she said, no, you got to choose your own. Mm-hmm. Even though I chose some wrong one, and I can see her rolling her eyes and like, oh, Lord. But the mothers, because mamas know. I'm just going to be real. Mama know when you bring back, mamas know. But my mama had to let me grow up. She had to let me come into my own. And the mothers out there that you trying to pick somebody for your son, did your mother pick your boyfriend? Did your daddy pick your boyfriend? Was it arranged marriage? No, it wasn't. You had to learn. You had to make that choice. You had to make that decision. Let him make his decision, either right or wrong. Don't let him be a mama's boy. It's okay for your son to call. I call my mom every morning just to say, good morning, Mom, I love you. That was it. That was it until the day she passed away. But she did not control my life. She put my life in order for me and showed me the path that I have to take. I had to love my wife. That's why nobody can tell me anything about my wife because that's my wife. We raise our children according to how God wants to raise our children. See, but when people come in, when other mothers that come in, I know that are mothers of wisdom and knowledge that discipline and know when to discipline without that screaming and hollering. They just gonna become screamers and hollers. Then you gonna ask, where you get that from? Really?
And it was the individual that I'm talking about that brought to my attention. He said, stop screaming at your kids. He said, my mama used to scream at me when I was younger. He said, that's why my nerves is bad. That's why you see me drinking. And I didn't realize how much I screamed until he brought it to my attention. So sometimes you get with people and they're going to tell you some truths about yourself. You got to be prepared for it. And I'm thankful. Thank you if you're watching. Thank you for telling me that because it changed the way now that I deal with my grandkids. My kids are grown now, but the way that I deal with my grandkids. And it's such a big difference. I could tell. They're actually listening to me.
Because when you holler, you're scaring them.
Mm-hmm. So they're not hearing anything.
No. Yeah. You know, they not hear nothing. Only thing they see is your mouth moving. And then they'll get immune to it. And then next thing you know, you hear them holler. Why y'all talking so loud for? Why y'all not hollering and screaming? Like my grandchildren. Me and my wife, we were too different. It wasn't no screaming and hollering in my household. My dad didn't play, That's when I first started, now they say it now, but I was back in the 60s and 70s, use your inside voice.
Mm-hmm. You got a roof over your head.
So I'm just a soft-talking person. The only time you know I'm upset when I do holler. When I holler, they say, oh, yeah, he upset because, I don't holler. Because I don't like being hollered at. So I'm not going to holler at you. That offends me, really. Because you're talking to me now, see, and it reminds me of the old slavery days. They hollered all the time. They hollered to keep you in constant fear. So are we keeping our children in constant fear, and we wonder why they don't come and talk to us, and why that mama's boy do what mama say, because mama had always talked and kept him in constant fear, so now he can't make a decision because he feared that his mama gonna holler at him. But hold up.
Reject as you get older.
But hold up. You got a wife.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless what mama say, you have a wife. The only thing should matter what that wife say or think. Not what mama say or think anymore, because she raised to 18. Now you have a wife. You have a whole wife, not a half a wife. You got a whole wife that loves you dearly, respects you dearly, but she wants you to behave like a husband, not a mama's boy. When mama calls, she jump. I can ask you to do something, you won't even budge off the couch. But mama say something, you cut the game off. Really?
So now that we have discussed what takes place in a relationship with the mama's boy, I've gave you 4 signs that you may be in a relationship with the mama's boy. What's the next step? Once you realize, wait a minute, I'm in this relationship, what can I do? The first step, Calvin said, was bring it to his attention, but do it in a nice way. You can't just go yelling, well, you always listen to your mom. Yeah, nah, nah. He's not hearing you. You have to be subtle with it, I guess. What would you say, Calvin? What would be the thing you would advise somebody if you know you're in that relationship with that type of person?
It's oh Lord Jesus. It's so much. It's just like, baby, did you just hear yourself? What? You sounded like your mama just now. Huh? No, I did. Yes, you did. You sounded exactly like your mama. And nobody wants to hear that they sound exactly like their mother or even their father. So the number one, that gets their attention. They be like, I did, baby. I didn't want to say nothing. But for the last couple of months, it seemed like when you get off the phone talking with your mother, you like a zombie. Is everything okay? See, you have to show an interest in his behavior to show him that you love him, wife. Not just baby mama, wife. That's a wife responsibility. God gave you him. God gave him you. You clean as one. The word said this here. What man hate himself? When you become one, you become him. Him become you. Mm-hmm. What man hate himself? What woman hate herself? If you hate yourself, you hate your husband. If you hate yourself, you hate your wife. But what do we say? We say, I love me some me, right? Mm. So you're actually saying, I love my husband.
That's what we say. But do we really mean it? You
say
even when you say you love me some me, do you really love yourself? And how can you love your husband like you loving yourself? Like you said, if you hate yourself, you're going to hate your husband, and it's going to be distributed with your actions. I want you to take 2 seconds and think about that.
Do you really love yourself? Then you'll know if you love your husband or you know if you love your wife. Do you love yourself? Do you holler at yourself in the mirror? Just think about it. Yeah, you look in the mirror right now. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. Do you love yourself? Do you love you some me?
Easy words to say.
Mm-hmm. But you got to live them. Words are action words. Words are action. You have to realize what comes out your mouth, you speak into life. You speak it. Life or death is in the power of the what? Of the tongue. Life or death is in the power of the tongue. When you tell little Ray you're going to be like your daddy, remember, you want this young child to be like the man that you put out. So now you still living with your husband because your son mimics your husband. Now, how many of you ladies out there right now look at your children and say, boy, you act like your daddy? Look how many times you told him he's going to be acting like his daddy. So you have to watch what you say to your children. You have to watch what you say to your sons. When you tell your son you ain't going to be no good like your daddy, now he's no good. But whose fault that is? It's not his fault. You spoke that into his life. Mm-hmm. You spoke it. You planted a seed. You plant a seed. You plant a negative seed in that young man's life. And he was the smartest thing on campus. Now he a drug dealer. Now he in penitentiary because you spoke negative in his life, told him how he was going to be. You didn't tell him he was wonderfully made, marvelously. You didn't tell him he was blessed and highly favored. You did not tell him he was a king. You told him he was going to be like his no good daddy. So you spoke that in your child's life. He owes you nothing. But he angry with you. And you wonder why he angry. Go back 20 years. What did you say negative to him? So single mothers, let it go. Because all you are doing is speaking negative thoughts into your child's head. They go for the young ladies too. Mm-hmm. We can speak that into our daughter's life. You're going to be just like your mama. And then they wind up like their mama. Mama, I want to be like you. I told my children, I want y'all to be better than me. I don't want none of y'all to be like me. Now, y'all might have some of my ways because it's gene inherited. Mm-hmm. But my ways, no. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. And that's why we use the term, you have to find your own. Find out who you are. Don't wait till you're 62 like me and actually really find out the purpose of God in your life. When God had already gave you that purpose, but you let it be deterred because you ligated took in negative thoughts that people said about you, and you start living them out. No.
And that's where we're going to start breaking these generational curses, because if you in the age range that I'm in, or maybe you've been in your family, because I know in my family, sometimes it's not the family, it's the people you surrounding yourself with. Always telling you what you can't do. Always saying you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too bright, you're too dark. And then when you get home and you looking in the mirror, you beating yourself up thinking, oh, am I too fat? Am I too skinny? Then you try to conform to fit the mold of what these other people think you should be.
Mm-hmm.
But what you should worry about is what God wants you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be your focus.
Mm-hmm.
My previous podcast, I talk about purpose. When you living with God purpose in your life, you're going to be focused, because he's going to give you the right direction to go. Now, I'm not preaching to you. I'm speaking from life experience, because I can remember as a young person, Nikki, you too dark. Nikki, you too fat. Oh, what you going to law school for? Oh, why you doing this? You can't do that. And that's what I would tell myself. But see, now I'm trying to break that curse. So if I hear my grandsons or their friends or my daughter's friends or whoever, I try to break that curse by reversing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you speak life to yourself, and you can speak life to other people.
Mm-hmm. You speak life. Don't be afraid to get angry at yourself, because you allow people to talk you out of what God purpose for you, because we do that. God made all of us different. Some got short hair, some got long hair, some hair can't grow at all. But God made us like that. So you have to embrace who you are. Who are you? Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
So what do? We try to mimic other people.
Mm-hmm.
No, let them mimic you. You a follower or you a leader?
Yes.
See, I'm a lead. I'm going to do what God showed me how to do the best of my ability. Now, when I get to the best of my ability, that's when God kick in. God say, okay, you can try what you want to try. God, I can't do this no more. He said, okay, now it's time for me to take over. Let me show you how this works. And I had to realize that I can't be like other preachers.
Yeah, you can't conform to fit what society or your friends or family or whoever is trying to make you be. We all internally know when we're going against what should be our authentic self. You know, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You feeling like, you really don't. You talking to yourself, you really don't want to do that. But you do it anyway because you want to fit.
Mm-hmm.
You want to fit.
You want somebody to pat you on the back. So, oh, you did. I know you can do it. But that's still not what you wanted to do. You did it because they said you can do it.
And you're not fulfilled because it's not what you wanted to do.
You're not happy.
You're not looking the way you want to look. You looking the way you think people in society want you to look. No, you just have to be you. Nobody else. I just had this conversation with my grandson this morning. I got two grandsons, right? So my oldest grandson told my youngest grandson that it wasn't cool for him to like some kind of cartoon, because he's the only one in the state of Texas that liked that particular cartoon. So me, the overthinker I am, I had to intertwine with that. I said, wait a minute, let me tell you something, grandson. It's okay to like something. Just because nobody else in the world like it and you like it, it's okay to like that, if that's what you like. Don't ever let somebody change your mind about liking something just because they don't like it. If you like it, like it. And I'm saying that to say this is how you have to go through life, period.
Mm-hmm.
We brush things that we like aside to fit in with other people. Mm-hmm. We change our looks to fit with other people. You see them on TV all day. Oh, I had to lose 40 pounds because they said I didn't look to fit this way on TV. Then you got your other group of women that said, wait a minute, they done woke up. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing anything, and I'm still going to get on the television. Mm-hmm. I'll just buy my own company and do it my way.
And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. My sister, when we first moved here, my dad was in the military, so we traveled a lot, but we stayed here in Texas. We moved around. When I say I've been to every state, we've been to every state. But when we got to Texas, that's when the trials of our life began. Everywhere else we traveled, racism, if it was racism, you didn't know about it. But when we got to Texas, we knew about the colored and the white fountain. We knew all about that. My sister had long hair, natural long hair to the butt. Natural, high yellow, Louisiana red to the butt. Got with the dark-skinned sisters here, and they said, girl, we don't wear our hair like that down here.
Please don't tell me she cut her hair.
She cut her hair. I looked at her and said, you lost your mind. Ain't grow back since. I wish I shouldn't have cut. Girl, leave me alone. I said, I don't want to hear that.
Preparation. Talked about that last podcast. Preparation.
I said, I said, why? They were jealous of your hair, Linda. Because you had to put no chemicals in your hair. All you do is wash and brush. They were putting the perm and the highlighter. And your hair is made like that for a reason. See? And we conform to what people want you to conform to be. No, you got to be who you are. I'm who I am.
You're going to be miserable. When you conform to be something that you're not, you're miserable. And I don't care how you try to sugarcoat it, as we say, try to make it look good. You're not happy. You're not internally happy. It's easy to go out when you're internally upset about something and you're not happy to go out and smile at other people. You know, like I said, being fake.
Mm-hmm.
But me, I'm a stand back person. I can stand back and watch people and know that something ain't right with that person. Sometimes it's a good thing and a bad thing. Because some of the things that come my way, I have to pray about it when it's coming because I wasn't ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what God purpose in my life. Because I could be in the store, people just walk up to me and start telling me their problems. I'm like, wait a minute. I wasn't even looking for that, but I said, wait a minute, Nikki, that's what you prayed about. That's your purpose.
Yeah.
So you stand there, you listen.
And see, and when I talk, everybody tell me, you need to be a life coach, and I don't, because you're not going to be able to handle the truth. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what God is showing me. And just by your conversation, I tell people in a minute, I'm going to let you solve your own problem. Because by you telling me, I'm saying, back up, rewind. Now, what did you just say? I can only do this. I can do this here if okay, you can do what? I can do this if if who? That mean you.
And that's what they pay $3,000-$4,000 a month for somebody to sit there and let you solve your own problems, and then they just take the wording and change it around. Mm-hmm. But some of us need that direction, and that's not to doubt. I am an advocate for counseling.
Mm-hmm.
If you need me, I'll counsel you. But a lot of us don't have that thinking process because, like you said, like with the mama's boys.
Mama boys.
Mama won't let you get your own thought in. And that could be for a male or female.
Exactly.
Now, we're saying male, but that could be for a woman too. Because I've met some women like that with their mothers. You know, they run to their mother about everything.
They wear their hair like their mother. They dress like their mother.
Everything. Just like their mother.
And see, I have daddy girls. And daddy, how can I say it? With daddy girls, do we spoil our girls? Yeah, but we give them reality. I give my reality because I give them from a man perspective.
And see, my daddy, he's deceased as well. And I miss him because I could bring somebody around and he'll take them for that ride. Now, if you make it back, your application might stay on top of the pile.
Exactly.
But if I don't ever see you again, then I knew you weren't no good anyway because daddy going to make sure.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll tell him, come on, son, let's go for a ride.
Oh, yeah. I take them fishing. Or we go in the boat. Oh, yeah. Because you might not make it back to shore.
And 99% of the time, me being young, I didn't listen to what he had to say. I went on with that person sometimes anyway.
Mm-hmm. We all did.
Tore off the bone.
Yeah.
Now I wish he was here.
Yeah.
Especially for my daughters right now. So that's a big, thing for me to swallow.
Yeah, it is.
And my son.
And with my dad just passing during the COVID era, we still in February. That was a hard pill for me to swallow. Because he would say few words, but them few words meant something if you listen to him. He would never tell you what you had to do, his favorite saying was, a man got to do what a man got to do. And that's it. That's all he would say. And you knew what he meant by that. A man got to do what a man got to do. If you're not a man, don't do it. So
And that's it. No long, drawn speeches.
No.
But now think about that. He would sit at the table with his glasses and paper. And he'll look at me. I'll never forget. This one particular time, he looked off the top of them glasses. He said, "You want me to take care of it for you?" Boo-hoo, ha-ha, about 30 minutes. And then he just, "You want me to take care of it for you?" And I looked at him and I looked in his eye. I was like, "Nah, I got it, Dad." He said, "Okay, this is what you need to do. Now you can take it or leave it." You know what I'm saying? That was his attitude. But don't go to him playing.
Exactly, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you, I sit down and tell you the truth. If it hurts your feelings, I love you, but I got to tell you what I see. And when they come, they know, and they'll say, "Well, Daddy, we come to you because we know you're going to tell us the truth." Yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to holler and scream. I'm just going to tell you this is what I seen, this is what I saw, this is what I heard. Now, I'm not going by any of them. Now, I'm going to tell you what I see when you walked in this room. This is what I seen. This is what I saw. Now, if you want advice, I'm going to give you advice. I always give them advice out of the Bible. I never say what Daddy would do, because Daddy crazy. But we use the word, what would Jesus do? I'm going to show you what Jesus would do in the Bible. Number one, I'm going to show you in the Bible. We all are in the Bible if we just read it. Everybody in that Bible represents somebody here on earth. That's why it's in the Bible, for you to read that Bible. See, everything in there. I'm for real, everything. Anything that we go through counseling is in that Bible. All you got to do is read about it. Say, oh, that's what they did, yeah. See, we can't go to the Old Testament because the Old Testament said eye for eye and a tooth for a tooth. We go to jail now. So we can't do that one. So we have to love our neighbor as God has loved us. See, back then they say turn the other cheek. No, I'm not turning. I'm just telling you right here on the air. I'm not turning. You slap me, I'm slap you back. It's as simple as that. Ain't no turning cheeks. Okay? So I had to show them in the Bible that, Rahab was a prostitute, but Jesus used her. God used her to save his spies. So God will use anybody. So don't get caught up on the things that you do. Don't get so caught up on there. Learn from that. Mm-hmm. All things work together for the good for those that love God and are called according to his purpose. Everything that we do has a purpose. If we do something bad, that purpose is what? To get us to do what's right.
Like I say, pain. I like to say pain equals power. Mm-hmm. Victim, victorious.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Because when I get knocked down, I may stay down for a little bit, but when I get up, I'm getting up swinging. I'm going to keep moving forward. Exactly. I'm like, wait a minute, Lord, maybe that's not what you want me to do. I get it now. Mm-hmm. So now what is it that you want me to do? You got to turn that pain into power.
Yeah.
That's where you get your strength from.
Exactly.
And that's the way God set it up.
It's set. Quit whining. Ladies and men. I know men watch the podcast, so let me tell y'all something. You already a mama's boy or a daddy's girl. Quit whining. Do what you got to do. Yeah, you did it. Yeah, you said it. Do what you got to do and keep it moving. We're not going to throw a pity party. We're not going to throw a block party. We're going to throw a get up party. Get up. When I got my first divorce, I cried. I'm in the bed. Oh, my mom said, boy, if you don't get up and get out of here. I can't tell you what she said. We on there. But it'd be bleeping it. But she told me that. And I'm like, but Mom, I don't care. Get up. Clean this room up. Get your butt and go to work. See, we need more mothers and fathers like that. No, we want to ride them around, go get their nails done. Girl, come on, get your toes done. No, I ain't wasting my money. Get up.
This is why it's so important. We've had generations and generations of dysfunction. I call it dysfunction. And if you're not educated or you're not knowledgeable and you can't recognize it, you're going to continue the same patterns. It's only when you get sick of falling down that you get up. And I tell people, when you get up and you wake up, be ready for the wake up. That's where the preparation come in at.
Mm-hmm.
Be ready for the wake up. Because it's not going to be easy. Because you done live your life a certain way for so long, you done got comfortable, complacent. You can't get complacent in anything. A lot of the speakers that I listen to that are, advanced in life, they say you got to stay hungry and thirsty every day. Mm-hmm. When I say hungry and thirsty, that means you got to want something better for yourself, better for your family every day. Don't get comfortable. Just because you got this promotion at your job, don't get comfortable with that job. Maybe God got a bigger purpose for you and you just comfortable. You can't just get comfortable. And I learned that the hard way, and you can't get comfortable in these relationships either. You got to continue to grow and evolve. But if you're in a marriage, you got to grow and evolve together. Mm-hmm. You can't be steady evolving and your husband is right here and you evolving. When I say evolve, I don't mean financially, I mean mentally, emotionally. Mm-hmm. You evolving, but your husband's still in neutral, stuck when y'all first got married. And y'all been married 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm. There's no conversation. One thing I look back on when I see the grown men at mama's house, because that's how mama raised them. 50 years old, sleep on my mama couch. Really? Because they mama boys. They mama boys. But then you married this mama boy and then researched the mama boy, but you fell in love with the mama boy. Now he's treating you like his mother, because mom done passed now. Now you the mama now, but you're supposed to be the wife, but you the mama. And you listen to the words that he tells you, well, my mama wouldn't have did it like that. Well, my mama didn't cook that way. Well, my mama wouldn't have said, my mama wouldn't have voted. Well, then you need to go back over to your mama's house, because that's your mama. I'm your wife.
And if somebody's talking to you like that, if your husband is talking to you like that, he ain't just started that. I'm going to keep it real. You made a conscious decision to ignore it because you want to be with that person. I'm sorry. Let's just keep it real. And I'm gonna describe to you one situation, and then we're going to have to wrap this podcast up. I was married, and my ex used to always say, you can't cook like my mama. You can't cook like me. You can't cook this. And I'm beating myself up thinking, I can't cook. I got to fix it. Not knowing he's just freaking mama's boy. So one day she came to the house, and she cooked this particular dish. And she said, Nikki, put it in the oven and tell him you cooked it. I said, okay. So let me give you what really happened. He tasted it, and the first thing he said, oh, this don't taste like my mama. So you was on some extra. That's why I don't pay. I mean, you get with these mama's boys. And his mama was the one cooked it. I said, okay, so really I can cook, but you just down to me because you just a mama's boy. So that's why I say you can't take everything so personal, but you got to be knowledgeable of certain things. If she would have never kept, that's probably why she did that. She didn't want to tell me that directly. God, just had a revelation. She didn't want to tell me directly, so she said, do it like this. And then it was revealed to me that I need to stop beating myself up so much.
I can tell him I can only be Calvin. I can only be me. Now, if you want me to be like your daddy, you need to go marry your daddy, because I'm Calvin. God made one me. And me going to be me. Now, you want me to be somebody else? Not going to happen, Calvin. I'm Calvin. Live with it, deal with it.
One other point I want to bring up about relationships between husband and wife, a mama's boy, or what you call it, a daddy's girl, or whatever.
Daddy's girls.
When you and your spouse have a disagreement, it is not a good idea, especially for a man, to call his mom or daddy or a daughter to call her daddy and tell what's going on in your home. Unless your life is being threatened and you about to just die, it's not a good idea. Because once again, you are one.
You're one. It's not none of your daddy business.
So if it's a problem in your home, get the Bible, pray about it, Then go back, y'all talk about it and work it out amongst yourselves, because it's when you start to bring in all these other people into your business, your relationship is chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn that the hard way. I called this so-called friend, that so-called friend, co-worker, whoever would listen.
Everybody in your business. Everybody know your business.
Everybody giving me these different advice. I'm going every which direction but the direction that God wanted me to go at first, which was to the book.
Mm-hmm. His word. Because, see, in God's word, he do not tell anybody your business. That's between you and him. Mm-hmm. That's why they stopped testimony services in church. Because people was going way beyond the testimony. So we don't do testimony service no more. Oh, too much. They been too much, boo. So, before Miss Nikki, my sister, signed off, I got to tell y'all this, though. Stop telling your man or telling your woman what your daddy or your mama don't do. It causes conflict. It causes competition. Because the young man's trying to be not your daddy, but they try and be better than your daddy. Because you always say, what's your dad? So now it's a competition thing. And that's not good. That's not healthy for a relationship. Because mothers can only be mothers, not your lover. So stop throwing mom and daddy in the mix, because y'all throwing them up under the bus. Y'all putting them in a situation that they really don't want to be in. Mm-hmm. So you mama boys, man up. Mama boys, I'm going to say it one more time, man up.
Mama's boys, time to man up.
It's time to man up.
Daddy's girls, it's time to
woman up. Do what you got to do.
Figure out a way to communicate and solve your problems without involving other people other than God. Because it's not going to work. Everybody got all their own dysfunctions going on. You don't want to bring all that old extra stuff into your home.
Extra luggage.
That's what you're going to do.
Extra luggage.
You don't know what everybody's dealing with internally. You don't. And they may inflict their internal pains on you. And then you go and inflict it in, bringing it in your home. I mean, it's just a cycle that needs to be broken.
Next time y'all watch the shows on TV, watch Snap. Because that's what's going to happen. Somebody going to snap.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what happened.
They snap. It's for real. No, don't bring your problems over here. And
then that makes, and for me, it made my family dislike my husband, because every time we would get into it, or my ex-husband, we would get into it, I'm calling cousin, I'm calling them. They ready to come over here and kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Then, but I done made up with them. We back together. We kiki kaka, and they looking at me like, "What you call me for?"
Mm-hmm.
But they still mad, and we done went on.
And that's why I tell my daughter.
So that's
my
not
son,
a good either.
Yeah, it's not good. Y'all deal with that. Only call me if hands been placed on.
Yes,
then
your life is in immediate danger.
Yeah, but all the other stuff.
If Ray didn't pay the cable bill and you got $10 and he got $2, don't call me with that. Ain't nothing I can do with that. That's when you got to call on God for patience and understanding.
Mm-hmm. Wisdom and knowledge.
Yes. The petty stuff, no. Might not seem petty to you at the time, but if you call and bring it in, people, it's petty. If your life ain't on the line, then no. You still better call on God when your life, if you feel like your life is on the line, you better call on him.
Yeah, you got to ask God. He got to show you, because he can get you out of anything. Trust me, I know. He can get you out of anything. He is a way maker. So, mama boys, man up.
That is going to conclude this podcast. I hope that if you're dealing with a mama's boy, I hope that you got some information as to why he conducts himself the way that he does. And if you're dealing with a wife that's a daddy's girl, I'm hoping the same in that scenario. However, if you are in that situation, you have to handle it lightly. And if you don't understand how to handle it, I'm pretty sure wherever you live, there's some kind of counseling, maybe at your church, somewhere where you guys can go and you can kind of resolve it in a good way. Don't continue on down this path of destruction when you know it's not right. And to you mothers with this unhealthy attachment to your children, your son, I need you to sit down and critically think about that. To you young mothers that's raising young men, I'm going to tell you, like I told my girls, what type of man do you want your son to be in the world? Do you want him to be that mama's boy that's calling his mama every 5 minutes or calling you? That he don't even know how to pay a bill because you done everything for him his entire life. And that's vice versa for women too.
Mm-hmm.
The daddy done everything for you. You don't even know what to do. You the woman of the house and you don't even know what to do. So what type of grown person do you want to be out in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way you need to groom your children. Teach your children. When my kids were out there, I was very picky about what school they went to, who they intertwined with. And yeah, it wasn't easy for me to watch my daughters and my son. He was his own person. I have no problem with him. He really didn't go out and do things.
Mm-hmm.
But my daughters, I had to watch them go through some things. I had to teach them along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be very picky about the adults in their life. You can't pick their friends. They got to learn that the hard way.
Mm-hmm. You sure can't. You sure can't.
So you be mindful of the adult that you're bringing into the world.
Exactly.
With that being said, I want to thank Calvin for
My
coming
sister.
today. I don't know why, because he's now a co-host. I hope that you learned something from this podcast, and we will talk again next